The Syrian Observatory of Human Rights.
It's one of the most widely quoted sources of Syrian casualty figures, but it's not always telling the truth. An ownership row at the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights has left several media outlets quoting false information as two rivals fight for the same name. The original group was hijacked by opposition activists for posting military deaths alongside civilian ones. Both sites claim they're the official observatory. This, though, is the original site in Arabic with an English version on Facebook. And this is the fake site, launched in December and mostly in English. Several foreign news outlets have assumed they're one and the same thing, quoting the fake site's casualty figures. The consequence, a very different perspective of the crisis. The original site's latest figures show just over 5,100 civilian deaths against almost 2,000 military casualties. The rival site claims well over 6,500 civilians have been killed and barely 600 troops. A difference many claim suggests this is a lot more than just a numbers game.
I don't think even the people using these figures have any objectivity, really. They have an agenda. A clear agenda is to justify by any means possible that Assad regime is a brutal, massacring regime and it needs to fall as soon as possible. And we can see at the United Nations Security Council, when that human rights strategy for regime change doesn't work, how annoyed Western governments have got.
The original observatory strictly opposes military intervention. The man who hijacked its name disagrees. Musa Bazawi used to translate at the real observatory. He was fired after falsely claiming to be an official spokesman and using a live interview to call for a no-fly zone. Since then, he's launched a smear campaign against the original group, claiming they're the imposters. Azawi and his figures have been quoted by the BBC, CNN and ABC Australia.
The other groups, they try to pass some political views, such as like calling for no-fly zone, for international intervention, and we made it clear at Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, the original organization is that we are against an intervention, we are against no-fly zone. All we need is to stop the bloodshedding that is going on in Syria.
Azawi and his group refused to speak on camera, stating,
"I cannot waste my time talking about this at the moment whilst people are dying in Homs. They are my priority right now."
He did refer us to another opposition group based in London, and they too refused to comment on the ownership row at the observatory. But they did confirm that reporting military deaths was not in their interest.
It's not our position to report the casualties of government troops.
The BBC and The Guardian had to withdraw material after falsely quoting Azawi as the Human Rights Observatory. The UN stopped counting the death toll, claiming it's too difficult to keep track of. But its human rights chief also said 5,000 civilian deaths should be enough to provoke international action. The real observatory still documents the deaths, civilian or otherwise, but it may be too late for the numbers to matter. Ivor Bennett, RT, London.